Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Misty. Say hi, guys.
I was about to say, well, hey everybody, but hi.
You can always
Doesn't
do
have
that,
the
Misty.
same
We can
sound.
start we can start calling you Mr. D if you want,
Mr. D.
Mr. D.
Mr. D's nuts.
Mr. D,
Yeah.
that's you? But yeah, as always, if you have any questions in chat, feel free to do at Misty underscore that's me. And we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. And where are we at? We're like mid-month here. And so it is a long month in that there are 5 Thursdays this month. If you're wondering about how that works with wipe cycles and everything like that, it is just a 1 week wipe cycle at the end of the month for the bi-weekly servers. So basically today with wipes, we have the weekly and the bi-weekly servers wiping. And so that's your mains, your mediums, your trios, your barons, your Savas. Oh no, we don't have Savas anymore. Your Zen labs and things like that. And then they'll go another 2 weeks until the 31st. And then they'll wipe again and have a 1 week wipe cycle for going towards the update, which is going to be September 7th. Right? Yeah, September 7th. So we've got 3 weeks until the update comes out, and we're over here on normal staging, and a lot of things are shaking up in normal staging. We got hot air balloon armor being worked on, which no visuals on that yet. We got some changes to the attack helicopter, and what we got is we got global networked bases just came in, and this got merged in last night, and it's still a little janky, but boy, is it interesting because long and short, what it means is you can see bases from very, very far away. So we'll get into all of it. Once again, as always, if you have questions, feel free to do at Misty underscore that's me in chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can. And let's get into it. So, what's going on with this global networked bases stuff? Well, this has been a project in the works for months now, and it's been an interesting one because what it stands to do is drastically optimize the game in certain ways. Now, it also occurs to me that if not done properly, it stands to drastically de optimize the game in other certain ways, potentially. So we are keeping an eye on it, but I know that the dev's goal is optimization here. So I can't imagine they're going to launch this in a way that's really suboptimal, so to speak. But the long and short of it is what, and I'm no game developer. Keep in mind, we're just an independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. But I'm no game developer. I don't work specifically on the coding of this stuff. So bear with me as I, create my sense of what this is. But my sense of what this is, as far as the global network bases is concerned, is actually they've turned all the base building parts into prefabs on the map, similar to how the trees and various rock structures on the map are prefabs. And what that means and what that allows them to do is have the render distance for these things be much, much greater. If you think when you look across the map, you can see trees, although a lower, quality version potentially of the tree, but you can see the trees from very, very far away because they're prefabs on the map. And now that the bases are being converted into prefabs on the map, you can see them from very, very far away as well. Basically, the same distance you can see a tree. So if you can look off in the distance and see a tree, well, that means you can basically, if there was a base out there, you could look out there and see the base. So what does that mean? Well, my initial testing last night was showing like about 15 squares away, but Artemis was just here testing, and it looks like she was able to see a base from more like maybe 20 squares away. Is that what we're seeing?
It's even more than that. So, yeah, when I was testing earlier, I was just 1 square away from the edge here, and I could still see the base here in W2.
That's
So,
crazy.
hopefully, you guys may be able to see there's kind of a sharper, squarer looking tree in the distance. That's actually the base.
And
You can see it from here.
can you like teleport like a little bit closer? I have a teleport to line of sight. I don't know if you have that bound anywhere,
I
but
don't know.
Okay. But also you can just like travel towards it and people can see like over time, like, yeah, that's a base out there. That way out in the distance, that kind of square thing. And yeah, that's a legit base. And this goes for all bases. So yeah, you can see them from very far out. And what this also ideally gets rid of is if you're flying a mini copter or something like that, and you're going really fast, or you're flying the new attack helicopter and you're going really fast, whizzing across the land. We've all been in the situation where you hit a huge Zerg base and it slows your frames per second down big time as it starts rendering in all the base parts when you're basically on top of it already. And then your game hitches, and chances are you might run straight into a base that you couldn't even see a second before because it just hadn't rendered in enough. This should get rid of that, at least if it goes live as is, because man, can you see these bases as far out as you can see any of the rest of the terrain, any of the trees, any of the rocks, anything? You can see these bases from really far out. Now, of course, this does bring up some concerns about, I mean, what happens to frames per second when you've got a map full of Zerg bases? Say you're a week into a bi-weekly wipe or 3 weeks into a monthly wipe, and you've got Zerg bases all over the map. How is that going to fare for frames per second? Now, I hope very well, because if you think about it, I mean, look out, if Artemis goes up and looks out across the map and you think about all the trees you're seeing there, you're seeing hundreds if not thousands of trees and these and various rocks. You're seeing a whole bunch of stuff across the map already, right? And the frames per second, I mean, if you've got a good enough computer, it's holding okay. Not like this game is perfectly optimized by any stretch, but if you got a decent enough gaming PC, then you can be up here, you can render all those prefabs and still maintain frames per second. And my hope with this is that the same holds true once it's full of bases. Because if they're all just prefabs, right, and they all have LODs, which is LODs is basically that thing where you're far out, it shows a lower quality version, and then when you get closer, you can see, and you see this in a lot of games, it pops in a higher quality version, and then if you even get closer, then it pops in an even more high fidelity version of the item in question. And you can see that as you zoom across, you can see the trees pop into higher quality versions and everything. And my sense of this is the bases are the same thing. So although it is going to be rendering all the bases across the landscape, they're all going to be kind of lower quality versions and something that is a little more easy to bite off for your computer, like a little easier to chew, so to speak, for your computer. At least that's the hope. That's the goal. And this is one of those things that we won't super be able to tell. I was going to see if I can try to get a version of the map, like an old map save with a bunch of bases on it. If we could get that loaded onto a staging server, it's hard with they change what's compatible and they change the versions to make older saves incompatible. But I'm going to see if my systems team can like kind of get a way around that, and we can load up for testing a map with a whole ton of bases and kind of see what that looks like with this global network bases. Because even though conceptually I can understand what it might look like, it's kind of hard for me to imagine being able to go up high in the Rust landscape and look across and just see bases everywhere. Like that's quite frankly like just a little hard for me to imagine. But that is what this global network bases thing potentially does. And so ideally, it allows us to see bases much farther away, and at the same time, it reduces hitches and ideally improves performance. And now that sounds like a big bite to chew off, but I think that's what the devs are up to here. And I hope that's the case. And I wish them success in it, because, man, wouldn't that be so cool if you can just now, come September, see every base off in the distance, pretty much as far as you can see anything else, like the monuments, the trees, everything. You can just see a base. I am also curious how quick this is to update, because if they're turning these base parts into prefabs, is that the second you put a base part down? And in fact, maybe we can test here. I don't know, Shadow, can you go far out to that base that we're looking out in the distance and maybe add another layer or two, and then we can maybe look
Yes,
from...
bugs.
Okay, cool.
Shadow can do that.
Oh, Shadow can do that. Oh man, I did it again. It's not an update preview stream without me
Well, I don't get offended by it
dead
because it
naming you
is
a
me
little bit.
basically. So
Cool. I'm glad that you don't get offended, because otherwise I'd be in
why would
trouble.
I? I've used it for like 7 years or something, 7.5, I think.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that.
It might
I was going to say
actually,
Shadow, but no, I appreciate that, Misty.
so it might be actually easier for us to distinguish if you just build like one wall up a couple more instead of
Yeah, good
like
call.
across, because yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see, if this updates immediately or if it takes a little bit after the placement for the actual base part to become a prefab on the map, or if it's like the second you place it, if it is a prefab on the map. This also occurs to me as another potential bottleneck point, right? Because if there's a process of the person on the server placing a building part, which is something especially early on in wipe a lot of people are doing, and if now there's an extra processing that the server actually has to do to then convert that
Yeah.
into a prefab, are we going to have an issue when we have 400 people building at once on the same map? I don't know.
Yep, I can definitely see that.
You can see
Hopefully
it
you guys can see
updating
it. What I
live?
might
Cool.
do, I'll stop here a sec, then I'll go into debug and zoom in a bit just so you guys
Yeah,
can
good
see a bit.
call. But yeah, it's definitely impressive, this whole global network basis thing. And it's kind of a little mind blowing how
Right?
it's possible.
That's crazy.
Because we see that updating right on the fly
Like that
all the
base
way
is
across the
active,
map.
right?
Yeah. And that's pretty nuts. And think about the change of gameplay you can have as well. If you're scoping out your next target or whatever, you get up to a high mountaintop or whatever, grab some binoculars and start looking and seeing like who's building, who's actively doing stuff. You can see so much more from so much farther now. It really does. It's not only just like an optimization thing as far as reducing hitches is concerned. It really is a game changer. I mean, it really does fundamentally change a big aspect of gameplay now that you can see things from so far out. So
Okay,
this
now
is
I can't get any taller.
uh,
Higher.
good old stability.
As good as it gets, yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, that was good enough because we were able to see, yeah, it updates pretty much on the fly, it looks like. And if not right on the fly, then you
Yeah.
can't really tell a delay. So that's cool. So that's global network basis. It was just merged into staging yesterday. It's still janky in a lot of ways. I will tell you, we were seeing, some different building parts that weren't there, look like they were there for some people, but not there for other people. The roofs in particular seem like they are still a work in progress. It makes sense that the roofs would be, because they're conditional elements. They change based on what's around them. And I imagine when you're converting everything into a prefab, if it's like a conditional prefab, it might have a little extra processing it needs to do or something. So it's all to say, still a work in progress, but a very interesting work in progress, and really stands to, as I said, not only give a great optimization to the game, but really fundamentally kind of change some important aspects of gameplay and like scoping out the other people on the map. Because once again, you can see bases in real time live from pretty much as far away as the eye can see in this game. So that's a big game changer, very exciting functionality. Gonna keep a close eye on it. But given it's on normal staging now, I'd say there's a very good chance this could go live with the September 7th update and force wipe. So going to keep a close eye on it. Now, next on the list, we've got a new body of work underway that we just saw started on, I think, late last week, but it's called HAB Armor. Now, that, of course, stands for Hot Air Balloon Armor. And I imagine this is kind of in light or in lieu of the attack helicopter being added if you've got these new attack helis strafing around the land and you're in an old-fashioned hot air balloon, well, you're probably going to have a bad time. And that's why there is this incoming buff to hot air balloons in some manner, shape, or form. It's adding some form of armor. Now, there's no visuals yet, and all the work is still on a separate branch. So it's kind of speculative exactly how this is going to work. So we're not sure if this is going to be just a new baseline model of the hot air balloon that just has armor on it, or if this is going to be more the type of thing where you can craft or buy armor that you then place on a hot air balloon you find. Kind of like, you put horse armor on a horse, maybe you'll put HAB armor on the HAB. Not sure either way if it's just going to be a whole new by default armored HAB or not, but we will keep you posted. Regardless, it does look like hot air balloons are getting a little more of a buff than they've ever had before. Now, in the same vein, the attack helicopter, which we saw just go live on the staging branch last week, and we showed it off for our update preview stream last week for the first time, and we will show it off again. We can see here we've got a couple of the helicopters, or we did at least have a couple of helicopters spawned, so you can see the size differential of the mini, the scrap, and the new attack heli. The new attack heli is, of course, somewhere right in the middle size-wise. But
Let me refresh those.
cool, thanks. But we are seeing some changes and specifically some nerfs to the attack helicopter this week based on or in comparison to where it was at when it first went into the staging branch last week. Specifically, the speed and agility has been reduced. That's kind of a bummer for me because, man, was that really agile and really, really fast and fun and rewarding to fly. But also, it is important we keep in mind here the overall balance of the game, and no one ever wants one item to come into the game that's super overpowered and completely screws up the balance of the game for everyone else. So I do understand these nerfs because it did really look like last week the attack helicopter was pretty powerful. So that said, we've got reduced attack heli speed and agility, so it's not going to move as fast or as agile. Also, they reduced the max fuel from 1,000 to 500, so you're going to have to come down for some refueling a little more often. They also disabled on the gunner view, they disabled the 3 mouse icons. It was basically just deemed unnecessary to constantly remind you that left mouse button is, the fire button. I guess they understand that you're going to just learn how to use this thing and you don't need a constant heads up display to show you how to use it. Makes sense. And so we can see and just to review here, the attack heli is a 2-person helicopter. There's 1 pilot, 1 gunner. The pilot can't be a gunner and vice versa. So you really need 2 people to both fly and shoot the thing. But once you are in the gunner seat, you can left mouse click to remind me that was to fire the
weapon, yeah.
the turret, right?
Yeah, the turret, sorry, yeah.
And then you right click to fire the rockets. Now, how this works also, if you missed it last week, is there's a turret on the front bottom of the attack helicopter, and you can add whatever weapon and whatever ammo and whatever attachments you want, just like a normal turret. And then the gunner kind of controls that and can aim and shoot just that turret. It's like the gunner view is the manual turret. And then what you can see also is the rocket view. The rockets are not aimable. The rockets just go, and if you look at the design, the exterior design of the attack helicopter, it makes sense because the turret is gimbaled and the rockets are just coming out of these tube rocket launchers on either side, and they have no gimbal. So they just shoot in whatever direction the attack helicopter is facing. So kind of the pilot has to aim those, and then the gunner has to fire them. Once again, the gunner fires with right click, and you can use any type of rocket. But you can see the gunner has this kind of diamond view, and that, my sense of it is that's kind of roughly where the rocket reticle is aiming. So you kind of, as the gunner, kind of use that as a reference point for, okay, where are these rockets going to be shooting? That said, it is hard to hit a target. It's very hard to hit a moving target when you're in the uh, attack helicopter, and you're definitely burning through rockets trying to do so. And even if you're trying to hit a base, it's not the easiest thing in the world, just given. But also, if you have a good pilot and you guys work together pretty well, you can probably get the hang of it pretty quick. So yeah, a couple overall HUD changes to the attack helicopter gunner situation. The gunner view, you might also realize this week, is a little more high resolution, and they made it a little less blurry. Last week it was quite blurry, and it has this green overtone, but it isn't night vision. I know that might kind of look like night vision, but it's not night vision. You can also zoom in and zoom out and kind of aim around and get a better view of things like that. The gimbal is a little restricted based on the position of the actual chopper, so you can't do a full like 360 or anything. You can only do kind of the 180 degrees in front of where the copter is pointing. And then also they made it so they don't allow driver inputs while in auto hover mode. And auto hover mode is kind of like this mode. It doesn't have wheels, so it can't drive around like the minicopter, but it does have this kind of, when you first lift it off, it'll kind of stay a little stuck to the ground and be in like this kind of auto hover mode. And that is now blocking driver inputs in some manner, shape, or form. So it's all to say the attack helicopter is still making progress on the staging branch. I imagine we're going to see some more balance, some more shifts to it. So you'll notice I'm not going into so many details yet about, okay, how do we use this to kill a base, and is the damage still exactly the same, and all this stuff. Because granted, we could spend a ton of time on it, but it's all very likely to change. And if you're looking at this now and saying, oh my God, it's way too overpowered, I encourage you to just give it a chance, because this is not in its finished production ready state yet. It's still got 3 weeks before the earliest it'll go in production. And the devs, historically speaking, are pretty good about finding some balance with these things. And to the extent they don't, when it goes in production and that becomes clear the day or two after wipe, then they never hesitate to put in hot fixes that do balance out things that end up being drastically out of balance. So let's keep an eye on this. We're going to keep an eye on this as we get closer to the forced wipe. We're going to have some more details for you on the specific, damage stats and everything like that for the attack helicopter. But as it stands now, there's so much balance stuff and so much various things still being worked on that I think it's a little premature to try to nail down any specific damage stats or anything like that. But that's what's going on with the attack helicopter. It does look like it's going to be making its entrance in September. Oh, also, if you're wondering how you get the attack helicopter, it is available for purchase at Airwolf for $22.50, if I remember correct. $22.50 scrap.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So 2,250 scrap over at Airwolf will get you one of these mini copters. And it had 800 HP, right?
Yep, 800.
Yeah. Cool. So that's the mini copter. I do expect some more changes and variations to come over the coming weeks, and we'll track them. As always, we put the stuff on rustafied.com. We have an article every Thursday, first thing, that summarizes what's going on in development in text and pictures. We're also over on the socials at Rustafied on Twitter and some other places, and we're doing like shorts and various other content through the week when interesting things hit the staging branch, such as this global network bases last night. Now, also, there's a new functionality, a little quality of life thing for you boaters out there, which should be pretty nice. And that is something we're calling boat drift. And basically, with that, when a boat is abandoned out in the depths of the water, it will gradually, after a period of time, start just floating back and drifting to shore. So it's pretty simple. We're going to test it a little bit more. I'm going to try to do like a time lapse thing and try to get a sense for specifically like after 15 minutes, it starts drifting, and then it takes X amount of time per square to drift. Maybe I'll go a little more granular with that. But also, the long and short that you need to know is just if a boat's out in the middle of the water and abandoned, it'll just start drifting back. But it will be interesting to see, like, if you take a boat out to oil rig and then you work oil rig for,
Yeah,
a
I was gonna
little too
say.
long, are you going to come back and your boat's halfway back to shore by then? I don't know. We'll have to see. So we're going to test that a little bit more because it stands to be great quality of life, but I also see how it could really screw some people over if they get a little too comfy, get in some sun on oil rig for a little too long. They might come back to no boat, but we'll see.
Bugs, quick question.
Yeah,
Did you say that Attack Kelly had 800 health?
I thought so.
No, 850.
Oh, 850.
Oh, they did send it there.
850,
Oh, they got
yeah.
a little buff. An extra 50 health. That probably won't go a long way, but cool. And thank you for that clarification, Misty.
You're welcome.
Also, on top of that boat drift, we've got backpacks being worked on. This is over on a Hack Week project. And as we all know with Hack Week projects, they don't always make it in. I'm looking at you, airships. Not all Hack Week projects make it in, but man, given the velocity and number of commits we've got for backpacks, and also the fact that backpacks have been talked about and kind of been in sort of concept limbo for about 6-7 years now, I think these backpacks might finally make their way in. And no, we're not talking about the backpack that shows up on the ground after the ragdoll body disappears. We're talking about actual player carried backpacks that increase your inventory space. And from the looks of it, they're working on a test backpack that increases by 24 inventory slots your base inventory carry ability. And it looks like, and this is all on a separate branch still, so it's kind of speculation, but from the commits, what we're kind of seeing is that you'll have this backpack inventory that you kind of have to click into. You'll like tab in and then you'll click into the backpack and then that will show the backpack inventory. So it doesn't look like at the moment it's going to be this adding a scroll bar to your current inventory type of thing. It looks like it's kind of going to be a separate view to click into what's actually in your backpack. But nevertheless, it looks like players will soon be able to carry around backpacks. It will increase their inventory space. No word on if it's going to like slow down your movement speed or if they're going to add a weight dynamic or anything like that into it. What we're seeing now in the commits is more a lot about the functionality of what the backpack's going to do and what it's going to provide the player in as such as more inventory space. We haven't seen much yet in what the downside of this backpack is going to be. And I'm sure there should be some downside. And it occurs to me like movement speed would be the obvious one. But we'll wait and see as more comes to light with that. But basically, this week, they're adding in the functionality to basically drop the backpack if wounded or dead. So if you're carrying a backpack, you get wounded, the backpack's going to drop on the ground next to you, and you're just going to be able to kind of watch the person gank all your shit. Setting up the right click movements for items. So when you right click and it goes to, like, say, a box or into your clothing slot, now they're working on the right click ability. So if you're looking at a backpack, you can right click things into the backpack and various other things. They're just working on backpacks. And it does look like backpacks, given it is a Hack Week project, it's not 100%, but man, given the amount of stuff they're working on with that, the amount of commits we've seen, and the progress they're making, and also just how backpacks really do make sense as an addition in this game, I do think backpacks will make an entrance, if not in September, maybe in October, but we'll have to wait and see when it gets merged into staging for testing, and we'll have a better idea at that point. But we'll keep you up to date as we do with all this stuff. And then there's a bunch of other stuff going on as well. The team is really trucking along on various different fronts, and that's always exciting to see. We've got progress on the next building skin, the Frontier skin, which I think that's the one where people were saying that that's going to be kind of a wood skin that is a throwback to the legacy building. I think that's the Frontier. So it looks like the new skin is going to be coming in. Not sure if it's going to make it in for September, but we have seen these skins kind of consistently come in month after month for the last several months. So it wouldn't surprise me if come September we see this Frontier skin, and it does look like it's going to be a wood skin. Word on the street, it's going to be a throwback to the vibes of the legacy buildings, which is cool. There's also more work on the F-15 flyby. It looks like on top of just adding an actual higher resolution model for the F-15, because currently, if you look at the flyby for the end of wipe events, it's kind of like a balsa wood, like F15. It doesn't really have 3 dimensions. It's kind of just like a flat piece of this and a flat piece of that on top of each other. You can't really tell when you're just on the ground and you see it fly by, but it's not the best model, but they're increasing and adding a better model, and it looks like it's going to be dropping flares too. So I'm not sure if it's really going to interact as far as, like, say, the Bradleys roaming around at the end of wipe. That's definitely a player interaction that impacts everyone. I'm not sure if the F-15 is really going to impact players, or if it's just going to kind of be this thing that flies overhead and drops flares around. But hey, if it does that at night and it lights up the surrounding area, that'll impact players. So it'll be cool to see, but they're working more on that F-15 flyby and a next iteration of it, so to speak. They're also they fixed a thing with the wheels being reset to default position on server boot. That was a weird thing going on. They're also working on the weapon racks. The weapon racks look like they're going to be coming in for September as well. That's another thing on staging. There's 3 weapon racks that get mounted on a wall. They're various different sizes, and there's 1 floor deployed weapon rack as well. So 4 total. Word on the street is they're going to be a DLC. Not sure if all of them or some of them are going to be a DLC, but what they're working on now is the ability, it looks like, to reload a weapon while it's on the rack. So uh, you can just make sure all your racked weapons are loaded and ready to go without having to pull them into your inventory and then put them back, it looks like. They're also testing out a new 8x scope. They're changing the mesh and materials for that 8x scope, so we might have a new 8x coming in the near future. They're also doing some work on some fresh rocket trails. So this is probably in correlation with the attack helicopter, because people are going to be firing rockets out of that. I guess they saw an opportunity to improve the smoke trails and the FX for rockets, and so they're working on that. There's also more work on a homing missile launcher and homing missiles. This is also something I imagine will come in tandem with the attack helicopter as a kind of ground defense for this new adversary in the sky, which is cool because, man, is it hard to hit a moving object with a rocket? Like, it's just hard. Rockets move relatively slow, and things in the sky move around relatively fast. Lining those things up is really tough. So having some homing type of missile for when you're getting pestered by attack helis, that will be a nice thing to have. Also, they added a hot air balloon name and icon to the death screen, and that's just for added embarrassment when you're crushed by one of those hot air balloons. And that's all part of the hot air balloon armor body of work as well, I imagine. And then, interestingly enough, they're working on yet another air vehicle. We saw the first sign of a scrap airplane being worked on. No word on what that is yet. It'll be very interesting. Like, currently, as players, we've had different air vehicles, but they're pretty much helicopters or a hot air balloon. Having an actual plane fly around is going to be interesting to see if it is in fact player controlled. So we're keeping a close eye on that, but no word specifically on what that's going to be and when we're going to see that. I imagine that's a matter of months away because we just saw the initial stages of it. And generally speaking, these new vehicles take months and months to complete. So we'll keep you posted as more comes to light. But yeah, that's what's going on with Rust development this week. Ms. D, we got any questions from the audience? Any things we want to test?
Yeah, we don't have a lot, but when's Web?
So the whips are at regular scheduled time. And because we're not on a first Thursday of the month, we do regular scheduled time wipes, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region. That means AU and SEA wiped like 12, 13 hours ago. EU wiped, what is that, 3.5 hours ago?
Yep, that's right.
Thank you. And that was EU main, small, Baron, the mediums, the trios, Zen Labs, and EUS. They all mapped wiped 3.5 hours ago. And then in like an hour and a half at 3 p.m. EST, we've got the US servers wiping. And once again, it's the weekly and bi-weekly Thursday wipe servers. So main, mediums, trios, small, Baron, Zen Labs. And that's what's going on with wipes, map wipes only, and we are 3 weeks from the forced wipe and update.
I saw a lot of people asking about how do we get a drop?
How do we get a drop? Like a Twitch drop, or
Yes.
what are we talking
Yeah.
about? Oh, well, Twitch drops are, there's no Twitch campaign going on right now. Let me see if the Twitch page for Face Punch has been updated. Let's see. I don't think there's there's nothing going on now. And so, yeah, to get Twitch drops in this game, basically, first and foremost, you want to head to twitch.facepunch.com and see if there's any active drops going on. They do campaigns every couple of months, basically, and those campaigns will run for around a week. I think the next campaign might be Charitable Rust, actually, which is going to be October 14th and 15th. So we're coming on basically, holy shit, 2 months away. That doesn't stress me out at all. But yeah, that's going to be some Twitch drops. But when there's no Twitch drops running, you can't really get any Twitch drops. But what you do want to do to make sure you get them when there is an active campaign is go to twitch.facepunch.com, link your account, connect your accounts, and then revisit that page, and you can see when an active campaign is going. You can see what skins are available, who you have to watch to get those skins, and all that good stuff.
I was just copy pasting something here. One guy was asking what's being added to this game, but I think we do a short recap soon. So
Yeah, we'll do a little
Yeah.
recap here.
And please test the lights on the base at night as well. I'm not sure.
What lights? Oh, like if you can see the lights from that far away. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, good
I
idea.
doubt it, but maybe we can put a couple types of light off on that base in the distance, turn it to night, and see, and then start
Yeah,
zooming
build
back
a
from it.
little bit. You want-
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. That's a great thing to test. Good call.
Yeah, you can build that and then we do some questions in the meantime. When will Console Rust have a custom server?
Oh man, I don't know if it ever will. I was, when console was in the works and it wasn't decided yet how the servers are going to work and everything like that, I was really excited about the idea of maybe running some custom servers for console and really just starting to run a bunch of console servers too. But unfortunately, the hosting situation with that wasn't, in my opinion, as a server owner, it was less than ideal, and we didn't even explore down that route any further. And I think there are more limitations when it comes to running on consoles, what you can and can't do as a game developer with allowing people to host servers. But the long and short there is I have no idea what's going on with console Rust. I don't really follow it that much. I keep an eye when they're coming, like they're adding horse riding finally next month. So yeah, I don't know. Console Rust doesn't super resonate with me, so I don't follow it too much. I hope in time it becomes something really special, and I see there's definitely potential for it and everything like that. But I don't know. It's just not really my jam. So I don't know if anything is going to change with regards to what people can and can't host when it comes to console Rust.
Have you guys spoken about the F-15?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it briefly on how they're working on adding flares. It's going to drop some flares, and they got a new model for it, so it's gonna look more like an actual three-dimensional F-15 fighter jet instead of this kind of janky ass like paper mache looking thing that they have now. And then yeah, they're working on having it drop flares as well, and that's going to be, of course, for the end of wipe activities that are going on, such as the Bradleys roaming the map and everything. It looks like there's going to be more flybys and it's going to be a little more interactive. I don't know. I saw someone asking if they're going to turn down the volume of it. I think that's definitely possible when they're making this change. It would make sense to do a pass on the audio as well, but I haven't heard any confirmation about that. But yeah, basically the F-15 is just going to continue to fly by from the looks of it. And at some point in the near future, maybe September, it'll start also dropping flares around it.
Let me see here. Do you guys have a monthly no BP wipe server?
We have two no BP wipe servers, but they're not monthly, they're bi-weekly, and that's the medium 3s. We've got US and EU medium 3, and we made those no BP wipe only because we had a lot of requests for that. But unfortunately, we don't have any monthly no BP wipe only servers.
Can you take down the the patrol heli with the attack heli?
Yeah, I believe you should be able to. It can be hard to hit them.
Yeah, theoretically, if you were good enough, then for sure.
But yeah, if you've got the skill, then it's definitely possible.
Do you think the weapon rack will be compatible with industrial?
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good thought. If you can kind of feed things directly into the weapon rack. As it stands, that doesn't look to be the case, but that would make a lot of sense. And I could see them definitely adding that at some point. I'm really curious on if the weapon racks are going to be pure DLC only, like some rumors have pointed to, or if it's going to be like some DLC, some available to other people. But we'll keep you posted as more comes to light with that. As it stands now, I don't believe you can use the weapon rack with the industrial stuff. I don't think there's any input like that. I don't think you can put the adapter on there. And we want to put these lights on the outside, right? So we can see them.
I'm gonna do both, so maybe you
Yeah, I
can
was
see if they're on
literally doing
like
both,
yeah. I put campfires and lanterns on the inside.
Cool.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, put electric inside. There's a campfire on top as well. Let's go turn that on and then go back to the base.
Nice. And if you just tune in and we're kind of testing on this global network basis stuff, you can see the bases from very, very, very far away. We're testing how far away you can see lights as well.
Yeah.
I imagine not so far away, but yeah.
Yeah. And in nighttime also, right?
Yeah, and at nighttime too. And someone said, Miss D, don't forget the spotlight.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy to see, right? Someone was asking if we could see SAM sites from the distance too. So I put 2 on the roof.
Nice. Yeah, let's see.
So maybe when Artemis is done, she can check that out as well.
Oh, yeah, let me do that in the daylight first.
I think that was the only questions we have for now.
All right, cool. Well, if anyone has any further questions, feel free to do at Misty_ that's me in chat. And yeah, we're just testing out the LODs for these lights. I imagine they're going to be much, much, much shorter render distance.
Yeah, if the SAM's at the very top, then definitely can't see that. In fact, I don't think I can see what I built a minute ago.
Yeah, we can't see the other built stuff yet, can we?
Opposite to what happened earlier. So yeah, great.
So it hasn't updated yet. That's interesting. Well, it is still a work in progress.
But it did when we was watching from afar.
Yeah, when we were watching before, I wonder if it's because you built it and went further. I don't know. I am wondering at what point, because the thing with this global network basis thing is, and this is a simplification of it, but my understanding of it was it basically converts each building block into a prefab on the map.
Yeah.
That's
and that's
basically
just
like Rust edit in game when you start building it right now.
Yeah, and so like we can see these trees from very, very far out, even though it's a lower quality version of the tree. The same is the case for bases now with this global network bases. But yeah, I think it's not necessarily updating all the time in real time. I am very curious how this is going to work when we've got a server with 400 or 500 people all building at once. And then especially once we have a server that's full of bases all over the place, you get up in a hot air balloon or a helicopter, look across, is your frames per second going to be impacted? I mean, a piece of me says no, because right now, like if we can look across and see all these hundreds of trees and all these hundreds of rocks and everything like that, it's not, and we're getting okay FPS. Is it going to make a difference if it's instead of just some trees, it's just some bases instead? I don't know. But the lights definitely don't travel that far as the render distance of the base itself. And in fact, the base itself looks like it's a little delayed in updating and converting. Basically, it looks like it didn't yet convert the things we
Yeah, it's
just placed into a
unfortunate. Yeah.
prefab.
So yeah, I'm not even sure it's a fair test because I'm not even sure it's updated in terms of the items that we place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and someone's saying bases are much more expensive to render than trees and other stuff, but are they? I mean, like, of course, if they're rendering the full resolution version of them from a distance, yeah, but all these things have LODs. Like, we're not seeing a full render of the tree from a distance. Likewise, we're seeing a very low quality version of the base from a distance. But I can see if it is still each individual parts, then one base could be an extra 500 prefabs, which I guess would be akin to roughly 500 trees. So yeah, maybe it is much more expensive to render. Is that going to be a make or break thing when we got a map full of bases? I don't know. I'm curious. And once again, I think it's important to remind everyone I'm not a game developer. I just love reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can here. So yeah, take what I say with a grain of salt. But it is interesting to see. And I guess the skeptic in me is like, this is almost too good to be true. We can see a base from this far out. That's freaking crazy. But there's got to be a catch. And I feel like the catch may be when a server's full of bases, there could be a negative impact on performance. But I don't know. We'll have to really wait and see. And we're going to test this more. As I said earlier in the stream, I'm going to try to get my systems team to grab a save file that has a lot of bases on it, see if we can kind of fake it into upping the version to a compatible version with staging now, and see if we can load it up and see what it looks like to have a ton of bases all around the map. And it may just have to be one of those things that we wait and see until it goes live. But regardless, that looks like it'll probably be no more than 3 weeks away, because this is on normal staging, and providing the testing continues to go well, I think global network bases will be going live with September. Now, I'll do a recap here real quick, but the other thing I want to point out, just the current state of staging, so to speak, at the moment with this global network basis, is we are seeing some definite glitches with regards to buildings and the rendering of buildings, and especially the conditional elements of building blocks, specifically the roofs. It seems like there's some janky ass stuff going on with that, which is understandable because this is a brand new functionality, and it's a pretty, from what I gather, pretty complex functionality. So we'll keep you posted on this, but it is exciting to see this stuff make it in. It is kind of mind blowing to think we could see a base pretty much straight across the map if we're at the right angle. And it's even more mind blowing to think that's an optimization to the game. I mean, if it is, that's awesome. So we'll keep you posted. We'll see. Let's do a little recapity cap here. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do Misty_that's me in chat. And first order of business is that global network bases that I'm talking about. Long and short, lets you see bases from very, very far away, 15, 20 plus squares away on the map.
It's
You
basically
can,
the width, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
basically the width of,
Yeah.
and this is this a 4K map or a 4500?
I can tell you, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we can do map. What's the
Oh yeah, of
command? Let
course
me
you
see. I forget the command and my thing's freezing, but it's like map.size or something, world.size. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. But basically, yeah, you can see straight across the map, and you can see bases straight across the map, which is kind of insane. So we're keeping a close eye on that. It was just merged into staging last night, so it's definitely still a work in progress. We're already seeing more commits and more work on it. So take everything you see with a grain of salt. Now, also there is work on a fresh branch called HAB Armor, and we imagine this is in conjunction with the attack helicopter coming in. They're taking the hot air balloons and they're adding some armor to them. We don't know if it's armor by default on every hot air balloon, or if this is going to be more like horse armor, where you find the hot air balloon and then you go purchase some armor to put on it. Regardless, we will keep you posted as more comes to light. We are seeing more progress on the attack helicopter, which just made its way into normal staging last week, and we showed it off for the first time on our stream last week. The attack helicopter, of course, is a 2-person helicopter you can buy at Airwolf for $22.50 scrap. And the pilot is in the back, the gunner's in the front. The pilot has to fly, and the gunner is the only one who can fire things. But it has a turret on the front. You can put any type of weapon. It's just like any type of turret, and it's like a manual turret, but it's just mounted to the front of this attack helicopter, and it's like this upside down gimbal thing where the gunner can point and aim that. You can also put rockets in it. Any type of rocket will go in, and the gunner fires the rocket with right mouse click, and the pilot has to kind of aim the rocket because the rockets are not gimbaled and they are not aimable. Basically, this week we're seeing some balance and specifically some nerfs to the state of the attack helicopter. They reduce the speed and agility of the attack helicopter. They also reduce the max fuel from 1,000 to 500. They made some changes to the gunner UI. Specifically, they disabled the 3 mouse icons because it was just unnecessary. Once you know how the thing works, you don't need a constant reminder on left mouse button is to fire, etc. They also, on the gunner view, made it a little bit higher resolution and got rid of some of the blurriness and the dustiness, so it's a little easier to see. You can see that gunner view is a green overlay, but it is not night vision. It's in fact kind of hard to see at night, but it is a little bit easier to see this week because the resolution isn't quite as low and it's not quite as blurry and dusty overall. And they did some things where they don't allow driver inputs when in auto hover mode. It looks like auto hover mode is kind of this mode when you first lift off, it'll stay a little glued to the ground and you can kind of go around on the ground a bit, but not 100% on that, to be honest with you. We'll see. We'll take all this with a grain of salt because it's still in development and 3 weeks away from launch. There's also in development parachutes, and this is something that's been in concept limbo for years, and we've seen action on it on a Hack Week branch. As most people probably know, not all Hack Week projects make it in, but I do think given the velocity and number of commits we've got with the parachute branch, that it probably will make its way in at some point in the future. This is, oh, and I think did I completely not talk about parachutes the first run through? I think I switched right to boat drift, actually.
I think you did, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Oh,
anyway.
I just saw Hex was just asking, can you use auto
No,
bleh,
yeah, it's a really good
and switch
question.
seats to shoot from the gunner and then
That's
switch
it.
back?
When I saw it, I thought it would be
Oh,
really good if you could. Well, I'm probably
interesting
OP, to be fair,
question.
but no, you can't.
Yeah,
You can't.
but good question nonetheless. And yeah, parachutes. That's the thing I missed in my first run through, but they are working on parachutes some more. They've been in concept limbo for a while. This is not a Hack Week project. I got parachutes and backpacks confused because, well, parachutes do come in a backpack, as the commits would say. But anyway, they're working more on parachutes. They've got parachutes have their own protection properties and everything. They're a bit tougher. It takes 4 rifle shots to take down, which does not seem like a lot. I would not want to be in a parachute coming down knowing I've got 4 rifle shots before free falling. But it did say in the commits that still needs some more tuning, so still a work in progress. They're improving the transitions of the skydive animation and reducing the pickup time. It was 12 seconds, now it's 8 seconds. So basically you're going to be able to parachute out. You'll be able to steer the parachute, or you'll be able to bust a weapon out and shoot, but you won't be able to do both. And then once you land, you'll be able to repack the parachute and reuse it. There's probably going to be some durability related to it, but it'll take 8 seconds to repack a parachute once you land and then get on your way. The parachutes look like they're going to look like a backpack as well on your back, so you'll be able to see when a player has a parachute equipped or when they don't. And yeah, that's basically it. They're just moving forward on parachutes. No word when that's going to come in. Still on a separate branch. Also, what is merged into staging is this new thing called boat drift. And it's basically where abandoned boats will float back to the shore. That's the long and short of it. If you leave a boat alone for a while, it'll start drifting back to the shoreline. We're going to do a little more testing on this, make sure as we get closer to the update, make sure that people aren't getting stranded at oil rig per se, because they're up killing some scientists, and their boat's like, oh, I'm abandoned. I'm just going to drift back to shore now. So we'll see. But I feel like they probably accounted for that. And my intuition is telling me there's like a half hour or so wait period until it starts drifting. But we'll try to get some more specifics on that testing wise over the next week. Also, they're working on backpacks, not to be confused with the parachutes like I just did, but
Whoops.
backpacks are actually a Hack Week project. And with that, it does look like they will make it into the game because there are a lot of commits and all that stuff on it. And they're just working. It looks like the backpacks are going to be this thing that you can buy or craft, and it'll add roughly 24 inventory items to your inventory space, which is going to be cool. Excited to see how backpacks come in. Curious to see how they're going to have a detriment to movement, because it would make sense that if they're giving you 24 extra inventory spaces, there's going to be some downside. But based on the commits, we're not seeing what that is yet. So we will keep you posted. Also, in the realm of other stuff, they're working on the next building skin, the Frontier building skin. Word on the street is this is going to be a wood building skin that kind of is a throwback to the vibes of the Legacy building. If you remember that wood, the big wood planks, seems like maybe that building skin is going to be a throwback to that in some manner, shape, or form. So excited to see that come in, and it'll be cool to have a building skin for the wood tier, because of course we have 2 for the stone, 1 for the sheet metal now. Also curious to see what, if any, armor building skins will come in, but it does look like they're working on a couple other ones as well, so we'll wait and see. There's more work on the F-15 flyby, which of course is part of that end of wipe stuff, similar in the same vein as Bradley roaming around the map. What they're doing with the F-15 flyby is they've added better model and textures for the F-15, and then they're also adding flares for it to drop. So it looks like it's that 15 could drop flares. And I guess if it's doing that at night and it's dropping a bunch of flares, it could light up a whole area and really have a new kind of dynamic for end of wipe gameplay, where the sky's lit up a bit and you can see more at night than otherwise you'd be able to, which is interesting. They did a fix for the wheel not being reset to default position on server boot. They're working on weapon racks, which are also in on normal staging now and look like they're coming in September in the form of a DLC. I feel like maybe September will be a weapon rack DLC, and then the Frontier building skin might be a DLC for October, but we'll see. We'll wait and see. We'll wait in DLC. But they are working on a reload menu option for the weapon rack, so it looks like you'll be able to reload your weapons while they're racked up, instead of having to pull it down and reload and plop it back up there. Also, they're doing a test for new 8x scope and mesh materials. So might have a fresh 8x coming at some point. They are doing work on some new rocket trails, the FX work for rocket trails. They're working on a homing missile launcher and homing missiles. So that's going to be to, of course, counter the new attack helicopter. People will be able to have some homing missiles to take those puppies down. They added hot air balloon name and icon to the death screen. So that's just, as the commit said, for added embarrassment when you're crushed by a hot air balloon. And then there's also initial work on a scrap airplane, which would that be the first flyable, player flyable airplane in the game? I don't know. Maybe. Sounds like it might be. Are we going to take that off? Are we going to buy that and take that off from Airfield? I don't know. Maybe. Could be pretty cool to have an airplane in the game. Going to wait and see as more comes to light on that. But I don't expect that, given it's just the commits and the branch is just in its infancy. I don't imagine we're going to be seeing that go live anytime soon, and definitely probably not for September. But that is what we're looking at. We're halfway through the month of August development-wise. Once again, there are 5 Thursdays this month. So the wipes, especially for bi-weeklies, are going to be a little more screwed up. The bi-weeklies will wipe today, and then we'll wait 2 weeks, and on the 31st, they're going to wipe again, and there'll be a 1-week wipe cycle between then and the 7th of September, when we'll see the update and forced wipe go live. And in the meantime, we'll keep you up to date on everything. Same time, same place every week, 1 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, and also Rustafied.com every Thursday first thing. We have an article going live that summarizes everything going on in development news in text and pictures. And then also, of course, follow us on our socials. Rustafied on, I should stop saying Twitter. I guess it's just X now. That's going to take a little while. That's like a whole new Shadow Misty thing for me now. But I'm just going to keep calling it Twitter. Fuck that. What the hell is X? I don't know. Um, anyway, it's fine.
When people talk about my ex, then.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I don't even get me started on that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Who gives a shit? But yeah, we're on socials, so TikToks and everything. On a lot of them, it's we're the real Rustified because some asshat took Rustified already. But what are you gonna do? But anyway, check out stuff. We're posting things as they hit staging throughout the week, so you can see that on our socials and all that stuff. And yeah, huge thank you for tuning in as always, everybody. Also, Artemis and Miss D,
Yeah,
thank you as always. And do we have any questions before we wind
I
down?
I just wanted to say something actually, because um, Charitable Rust is going to be different this year, and I think
Yes.
maybe you could tell a little about what's going on in, so it's not the same.
We're
Yeah.
heading to launch day, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
We get shut down.
so yeah, as
We get
Artemis and
shit
D
on.
get shot down, I'll tell you a little bit about Charitable Rust, which is October 14th and 15th. So like 2 months from today. Holy crap. So what we're doing this year is we're actually working on a kind of different version of Charitable Rust where it's going to be the main thing is going to be an accelerated gameplay wipe for the weekend. So it's going to be a 2x accelerated gameplay server is going to be the main event server. We're going to be doing Synectica as the map, which is a map we've been playing along with Happus on our ZenLab servers. And then what we're building is we're still going to have some of the mainstays like the art show, and the art contest, and the talent show. And those are going to be taking place above the map, above the gameplay on some like mystical floating island things. And we're also have a hub with a bunch of gambling and everything, and we're looking to add some more things like parkour and stuff. But I'll be honest, the development of it has been going a little slower than I would have liked. So we're going to see what we end up with, but it's all to say we're going to have a different player experience than the last several years of Charitable Rust, and it'll be an opportunity to do a whole accelerated wipe for the weekend and really participate with your team and actually play the game alongside participating with the Charitable Rust events. This year, we are supporting for the second time Charity Water, which is an amazing charity that brings fresh water and sets up sustainable freshwater systems. So not only it's not like they're just sending Dasani to people like a big box of Dasani and like, hey, good luck, drink up, bitches. No, this is like they create wells, they monitor the wells, they create fresh water, they set the community up to do so that not do they only have fresh water now, but they have fresh water for years to come. And it's an amazing charity where the entirety of the donations that we bring in for this event will go directly towards freshwater projects. It's not it's set up where they've got donors and they've got rich people who support the ongoing operations of the charity with their money, so that when organizations like us donate money, then 100% of all those donations go directly towards funding the projects that bring fresh water to the people around the world who need it most. So, really excited to support them again this year. We're going to have more information and more teasers and stuff like that on Charitable. But for the time being, just mark your calendar Saturday and Sunday, October 14th and 15th. It's not only going to be us doing events, we've got Nexus, which is a cool organization, doing a couple events. We got Rust Reborn doing some events. We got a number of other orgs doing some events as well throughout the weekend. So it's going to be an awesome time. There's going to be some prizes and just a fun time raising money for charity. There'll also be Twitch drops and 4 skins on the item store, the proceeds of which, of course,
You
go
just like to
towards.
say
I
foreskins.
just yeah, because I miss my and but and the proceeds of which all those sales, of course, will go towards this amazing cause as well. And historically speaking, 90+% of all the funds we raise has been through those skin sales. So I'm really excited about that. We got some awesome skins on the horizon as well. And yeah, just overall, really super excited about Charitable Rust. So, Misty, thank you for reminding me about that. And yeah, everyone out there, just mark your calendars, October 14th and 15th, and stay tuned for some more information on that.
Yes, and then 2 questions left.
All
If a
right.
if a Tactically are added, will y'all have an event with them in Charitable Rust?
Maybe, but in all likelihood, probably they'll just be existing across normal gameplay like the other stuff because yeah, we'll see. We'll see with that. We're
Yeah.
going to see how much we can get in place in time because also we're running Charitable Rust a month earlier this year and I had the bright idea of, "Oh, let's reimagine the entire thing." Um and I'm a little behind on it. So, we'll see what we can fit in, but I hope so.
And usually all the stuff for Charitable Rust, like events and stuff, is planned way before, and then the work
Mm.
process starts in Rusted and all that stuff, which takes months and months and months, a lot of work. So just getting stuff in last minute, maybe, but
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah. Last one, let me see. Does the new does the new heli consume more fuel than the mini?
It appears to, yeah, at the moment. I can't really give a comparison because I'm not completely kind of up to date with the scrap heli and how that is. But with the mini, it definitely drinks more.
Yeah, which makes sense as well because it's bigger. It's almost like twice the
Yeah,
size of the mini. But also the thing to keep in mind, especially with the attack helicopter, is it's still very much a work in progress. They're balancing things out, and they literally just changed the max fuel from 1,000 to 500. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see some tweaks and balance to the fuel consumption between
Yeah, for
now
sure.
and when it goes live. So
so did they ditch pets and modular guns?
I'd say that's just deep in the throes of concept limbo at the moment. I think we will see pets at some point. It looks like there's going to be, based on the commits, there were like three different types of dogs that you'd be
Oof.
able to. And then there's like a training collar that you could craft, and then you could train the animal, and then you could point in and say, "Hey, go over there," or, uh, bite that dude or whatever. I don't know, but we haven't seen much on that in a while, and uh, yeah. So I think concept limbo.
Okay, let's take a few more questions. With attack heli, do you load turrets while in the air or only before you take off?
Only before you take off.
Yes. And you cannot shoot while you're on the ground, right?
No, you
Correct.
cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
gunner seat is only accessible once you're in air.
yeah. And are you able to equip explore ammo on the attack helis?
Yep.
And what have I missed so far? Everything, because we're about to end.
Yeah, you missed all the things,
Yeah.
but basically we've got global network bases. You can see bases from much farther out. They're working on hot air balloon armor to counter and buff up the HABs in lieu of the attack helicopter, which is also looks like it's coming in September. We saw a couple nerfs to the attack helicopter. It's like less speed and agility and less fuel, and some changes to the gunner UI. They're working on parachutes. They're working on boats. When abandoned out in the water, will slowly drift back to shore. They're working on backpacks, which will allow players to carry these backpacks and increase their inventory space. And they're working on a bunch of other stuff, a new building skin, the F-15 flyby, homing missile launchers, a new 8x scope. Uh, Weapon racks will have a reload option on them. Weapon racks are going to be coming in September, it looks like, maybe in a DLC, and also initial work on a scrap aeroplane too. So some interesting things on the horizon. But for more details on all that, head to rustafied.com. We do an article every Thursday, first thing, which summarizes all this. And you can follow us on like X or whatever on at Rustafied. And I think
That's
that
it.
should do it. All right. Well, a huge thank you for everyone tuning in. A lot of people think we're developers of the game or we're on the Face Punch payroll or something like that. That is, in fact, not the case. We are a purely independent organization who loves reporting on development news and running the best servers that we possibly can. And the only way we can consistently do that week after week, month after month, is through the support of the community. So if you just tune in to watch, thank you. If you give us some bits, whatever the fuck those are, or subscribe on Twitch, thank you. And to our wonderful, beautiful VIP customers, thank you so much for the support and the loyalty. Without y'all, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you. Much love to you all. And once again, Artemis, Miss D, thanks for being my co-MCs as always.
You're welcome, but you should say next time, go follow my ex.
Yeah, go follow my ex on,
Yeah,
and I want to say go follow my ex on Twitter, but no, that's not
yeah.
how that works.
Just
That's
follow my
not.
ex.
Yeah, go follow my ex at Rustafied. Anyway, um, yeah, thank you all for tuning in as our brains start slowly breaking down here at the end. This is why we only stream for an hour. And we will be back next week, as always, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and rustified.com and all that good stuff. In the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.